What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall markets. I'm going to break down some good news and bad news that's coming out for the markets as we're still seeing the war continuing between Israel and Iran, despite President Trump calling for a ceasefire. And we're going to see if that ends up lasting or not. I'm also going to break down what's happening with Jerome Powell's testimony for today, what you should be watching for as time goes on. Just know that I am not a financial planner. Take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 25 in total. Deposit $5,000, and you're guaranteed 60 free stocks. The offer ends at the end of July. Anyways, let's talk about what's happening with the markets. So, as far as Tesla's going, we're going to be expecting a nice gap up upon open, but we want to see if Tesla could try to sustain this level above 350. If you hold above the 350s for today, we're looking for 362.5 as a potential target. But if we can't break past that, there's also going to be a risk of us turning if we do get some bad news, right? So this is going to depend on Jerome Powell and what he says during his testimony. The congressional members are going to be pressuring him, asking him, why aren't you cutting rates after what President Trump just said? And I'm going to talk about everything in this video very, very quickly, and then we'll break down more details about the charts. When it comes to Tesla, they had a very historic robotaxi launch. It was very awesome to see that. I just want to note that the large majority of these rides were very successful. They went very, very well. Even when Tesla was, facing some very, very hard times, they're looking very, very awesome. We saw a lot of these robotaxis doing lots of rides. We saw lots of people on YouTube posting how well it went. And the large majority of these Teslas did very, very well. So it's very awesome to see that. And this is only the beginning, right? There's going to be so many more of them to come as years progress, as months progress, as they begin to expand things. However, there was some negative news that came out from the NHTSA, which is now saying that there were some traffic violations that were found in one of the videos. So just keep in mind, guys, there are hours and hours of videos of the robotaxi doing really, really well if you combine everything we've seen on Twitter, on X, and all these places. So I don't want to just call them out for one mistake, but there was one mistake that was made, and it's actually very minor. But as a result, the NHTSA is not happy about it. I want to show you what this mistake looked like. So Rob Mara was the one that kind of like posted this, and you can see right here, if you watch this, it was kind of like cutting into a different lane. So see how this is like a yellow line right here, and it was actually on the opposite side before it eventually corrected itself. It was also going into that lane because I wanted to make a left turn because the yellow line eventually creates another lane, but it actually cut into that lane beforehand. I hope you guys caught that. So you could see there was a moment when this actually went into the other lane on the opposite side of the road. So you guys could see there was a slight violation right there. So it cut a little bit before this left turn ended up coming, but there weren't cars there, so that's probably the reason why it was able to do that. But this is just a minor correction that Tesla can make. They can kind of correct these issues. But overall, guys, like I said before, this is the only mistake that I saw. Besides that, there were dozens and dozens of rides that were very successful. Lots of videos of them doing very, very well. So yeah, Tesla's doing a great job. The launch is very successful, very, very awesome. The share price loves it. But then HTSA, of course, is now going to be getting involved with this, and they are once again going to see what's necessary. They mentioned that following an assessment of those reports and other relevant information, they're going to be taking necessary actions to protect the road safety. So we'll see what they end up saying from here. So keep that in mind. There's also been some more news. Today is Tuesday, June 24th. So keep in mind at 10 a.m. we have Jerome Powell's testimony. He's going to be hammered by Congress. They're going to be asking him so many questions about interest rates if he's going to bring them down. And obviously, President Trump is not happy with Jerome Powell. He just said something very important. We also have the Richmond Fed manufacturing numbers, but expect volatility starting at 10 a.m. depending on what Jerome Powell says. Going back, I actually want to talk about Powell first, and I'll talk about the whole news involving the ceasefire. So President Trump said that too late Powell of the Fed will be in Congress today in order to explain, amongst things, why he's refusing to lower rates. Basically, he basically said that he wants to see them cut like crazy. He wants to see us have like 10 rate cuts. He's not happy with the way in which things are looking right now. And then he also went on about that. However, Jerome Powell did say that despite this criticism, he's going to be once again preventing the ongoing inflationary problem despite that. So he is once again going to do what's necessary as he's going to be at Capitol Hill today. So keep that in mind. Very important news. On top of this, President Trump did announce a ceasefire between Israel and Iran yesterday. However, despite him saying that, there's been a lot of news coming out about how Iran is still firing missiles towards Israel. Israel's still firing missiles towards Iran. And as of right now, it's not confirmed yet that there is a ceasefire because both sides are once again still attacking one another. And President Trump said that he's very unhappy with Israel and the whole situation. He did actually call them out. He did end up saying a lot of different things. He even dropped this word when talking about it. So he was very very angry that he claims that both sides agreed to a ceasefire, but then instead of following it, they've violated their agreements, and now they are just attacking each other again. He's not happy about that. He puts on his Truth Social page that Iran will never rebuild the nuclear facilities, and he said that Israel's not going to attack Iran. He's telling them to go back. As of right now, what's happening is, and this is what this report right here said, which I actually agree with. Yeah, as of right now, the war is continuing. It's not actually a true ceasefire because both sides have been attacking each other again. However, we're going to see what happens in the upcoming hours. Will we truly see the ceasefire take hold? President Trump is urging both sides to stop attacking one another. He wants them to stop ASAP. So let's wait a couple of hours. Let's see if Israel and Iran respond. Will they stop this war? Will they stop, the missiles that they're shooting at one another? Let's wait and see. As of right now, at the time of recording this, though, they're not completely done. Now, to add on to this, yeah, we're just seeing the same things pretty much coming out so far, at least on the news. So let's focus now on Tesla stocks. So for Tesla, you're going to be looking at this resistance near this 355 area. If we could break and hold that, we're looking for 360 to 362.5. If that breaks, I could see us push for 370. But if we reject off Jerome Powell's testimony, or if it's because of some other factors, we could turn back down towards 348 then 344. Those are going to be two big supports to watch for, just to be very, very frank. So we're going to see how well Tesla could hold up. Now, it's possible Tesla in the market try to go higher, but here's your levels. Break this 360 to 362 area, we're looking more bullish. And if we end up losing 350, we're looking for 344 to be retested. I wouldn't be surprised if we try to go a bit higher only to slow down, but because the ceasefire news is not official, and also because it depends on what Jerome Powell says, right? He could pump or dump the market. It's possible we go either way. But just in case we do consolidate up here, we'll see if we turn back down to 350 and maybe try to bounce off that. If we get some consolidation before it tries to go higher, there's always that possibility on Tesla. But we just have to wait and see depending on what Jerome Powell says. So if we lose 350, we're looking for a bigger move down towards 344 or so. If we break 350 five, if we hold above that, we're looking for the 360s. We're in the middle, so keep that in mind as time goes on. For other pieces of news over there, we also have SPY. Now, SPY had this nice breakout, but we want to see this thing break and hold above 606. If 606 breaks, we're going to be continuing to go higher. But notice the last time we had 606, we did get a rejection. And because the ceasefire is not official, we're going to see if we could break that. We need to break and hold 606. If it can't do that, we might be returning back down to 602.5. There might be a small pullback if we don't truly get that break. So we have to hold above 606. If not, we could turn back down. There's a risk of us consolidating and eventually slowing down to 602.5 if that doesn't break. So keep that in mind. On the QQQ, you want to see us hold 538. If that breaks, we're looking for the 540s. And if we can't break past 538, there's a chance we may turn back down towards 535 or so. So we'll just have to see if we can hold support or not. So watch 538 as resistance. If that breaks, we're going to be going even higher. If we can't break that on the QQQ, we could turn back down towards 535. So you want to be very, very careful, at least nonetheless. For the IWM, you want to see us basically break past this 214 area to continue to push. If we can't hold that, there's going to be a risk of us returning back down to 212. So keep those levels in mind. ES pushed very nicely, but it's struggling to hold above 6120. We need to hold 6120 to remain bullish to push for 6150. If we don't hold that, there's going to be a risk of us returning back down towards 6080 or below. So you want to be very, very careful. Let's see if 6120 holds. If not, 6080 could be coming. On NQ, We have resistance around 22,350. If we break that, we're going to be looking for a more bullish move. If we don't break that, there's going to be a risk of us returning back down to 22,200 or below. So keep that in mind. Bitcoin's looking more bullish, looking for basically 106,600 as resistance. If we lose 103,000, we're going to be turning back down, but this is still looking like it might push for 106,000. So we'll see what kind of reaction we get. Once again, for Tesla, we got to hold above 355 to continue for the 360s. If we don't hold this, we might return to 350. And then if that fails us, we're looking for a move down. So keep those levels in mind. Could try to push a bit higher, but you want to be a little bit careful with Jerome Powell's testimony. We'll see if he launches this up or down, or if we get some kind of like push and then a dip and then some consolidation like this. We could be looking for a move like that on Tesla, depending on what Jerome Powell says. Nvidia needs to hold above 146 to continue to push for 147.5. If it doesn't, we're looking for a retest of 144. On Apple, I want to see it hold above 204. If it doesn't hold this, we could turn back down to fill this gap near 202. So keep those levels in mind. AMD looks bullish, favoring 134. I want to see us continue to break past that. If not, we could turn back down towards 130. PayPal is looking a bit more bullish. We have this gap to fill up here. We're going to be watching to see what happens around the 74 area to fill that gap. If we end up losing 71, we're looking for a move back down. But nonetheless, it's looking a bit more bullish for closer to 74. On Coinbase, we have a bearish divergence. We're going to see if we can try to break past this 315 area to push more. If we can't, there's going to be a risk of us returning to about 310. If 310 fails us, we're looking for 300 flats. So keep those levels in mind. Amazon's trying to gap up. I want to see it hold above 212 to continue this push. If it doesn't hold that, there's going to be a risk of it returning back down to 210 to fill that gap. Meta pushed only to reject, so I want to see Meta continue to hold above 700. If it doesn't, we're looking for 695 all over again. On Google, we're making lower highs here. We're going to see if we can hold above 169. If not, we could be dipping back down to 165. And for Microsoft, we could be looking for 490. If it doesn't hold above that, there's going to be a risk of us returning back down towards like the 480s. So keep that in mind. The VIX is dipping here, but the question is, we have a giant gap now on the VIX. Is the VIX going to dip and then continue to dump, or does the VIX dip and bounce? It all depends on Jerome Powell. So just as a quick reminder, yes, the market is going to gap up really nicely, but be careful because in case we do turn off Jerome Powell's speech or whatever the factors are, or it could be because the ceasefire is not official yet. So we're going to be very, very careful. For now, just be very careful and we'll see if the ceasefire holds or not. As far as Tesla goes, we're bullish. We could be favoring a much bigger push. But now that the ceasefire is not like official yet, I would hope that it's eventually going to become official. We have to be very, very patient with this market and give this the time it needs. Tesla could be retesting the low 360s, but we're going to see if we could hold that or not. If we lose 350, we're looking for a move back down. And I do think we may consolidate in this range for now until we hear what Jerome Powell has to say and what he tells the congressional members when he's asked a lot of questions. So be careful. They may try to pressure him to say something he may not want to say. So be careful, guys, with what Jerome Powell says. His testimony starts at 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good day, guys. And I'll see you guys very soon. Expect some volatility and peace out.